Cannabis Common Sense, the show that tells the truth about marijuana and the politics behind its prohibition.
Hello and welcome to another exciting edition of Cannabis Common Sense. Our show is a production of the Hemp and Cannabis Foundation, or THCF, and our affiliated THCF medical clinics, and our political committee, a 501c4 under the federal tax rules, a PAC. It's the Campaign for the Restoration and Regulation of Hemp, or CRRH. We have an exciting show for you tonight. Mr. Tim Pate's here.
I am here. Hello, everybody.
Howdy, Tim. He's got some music he'll be playing for us, and he'll join me to answer viewer phone calls. We have a clip from a new movie coming out, a trailer for The Green Goddess, a movie that is affiliated with the Hemp and Cannabis Foundation. And we have some other film clips we'll be showing. We'll be taking your calls here in just a few minutes, but stand by as we bring out our infamous Dancing Cannabis Leaves.
I feel the force.
All right. Welcome to Hemp News. Our first story tonight is from the Seattle Times. It's written by Seattle Times staff reporter Mark Rayner. The bill allowing patients to get medical marijuana authorizations from a wider range of healthcare professionals came a step closer to becoming law as it passed through the Washington State Legislature Thursday. Washington Senate Bill 5798 extends the ability to authorize medical cannabis to a variety of other licensed health professionals in addition to MDs and osteopaths, including naturopaths, advanced registered nurse practitioners, and physician's assistants. After some fine-tuning, the bill passed with an amendment requiring the recommendations be written on tamper-proof prescription paper. Senator Jean Cole Wells, a Democrat of Seattle and the bill's primary sponsor, and an advocate for medical marijuana and ending adult marijuana prohibition in the state of Washington, said it will go into effect around July 1st, roughly 90 days after Governor Chris Gregoire signs it. Gregoire couldn't be reached for comment Thursday. Colwell said, "I haven't talked to her about it at this point, but I don't see why she wouldn't sign it. She's been very supportive of medical marijuana issues," end quote. Colwell said, quote, "I think this is a real victory in moving forward to providing access more readily to people who are qualified for medical marijuana, especially in more rural areas," end quote. The amendment sponsor, Representative Doug Erickson, a Republican of Ferndale, Washington, said, quote, "I'm not a supporter of medical marijuana. I have concerns about the drug, but if it's prescribed and the prescriptions are controlled, I don't have much heartburn with it," end quote. Erickson said the amendment is an effort to bring a little more control to the system and make sure the drug's not being abused and is getting to the people who are authorized for it. The legislation makes copies of the cannabis authorizations illegal, but Colwell said that doesn't rule out providers from simply writing multiple authorizations, for instance, for his or her own patients, to the patient, the grower, and the like. Also, patients who now have authorizations on paper won't need to get new ones after the law goes into effect, she noted. This was a story from the Seattle Times written by Mark Rayner and published today, the 12th of March. Our next story is from USA Today. It's written by William Welchand and Donna Lewinland. James Gray, once himself a drug warrior and former federal prosecutor and county judge who sent people to prison for dealing cannabis and other drug offenses. Gradually, though, he became convinced that the ban on cannabis was making it more accessible to young people, not less. Judge Gray said, quote, "I ask kids all the time, and they'll tell you it's easier to get marijuana than a six-pack of beer because it's controlled by the government." He said, noting that drug dealers don't ask for IDs or honor minimum age requirements. So Judge Gray, who spent 2 decades as a Superior Court judge in Orange County, California, and once ran for Congress as a Republican, switched sides in the drug war, becoming an advocate for legalizing marijuana. Judge Gray says, quote, "Let's face reality. Taxing and regulating marijuana will make it less available to children than it is today," end quote. Gray's part of a growing national movement to rethink cannabis laws. From California, where lawmakers may outright legalize marijuana, to New Jersey, which implemented a medical marijuana law on January 19th, states are taking unprecedented steps to loosen marijuana restrictions. Advocates of legalizing marijuana say generational, political, and cultural shifts have taken the United States to a unique moment in its history of drug prohibition that could topple 40 years of tough restrictions on both medicinal and recreational cannabis use. A Gallup poll last October found 44% in favor of making marijuana legal, an 8-point jump since the question was asked in 2005. And an ABC News Washington Post poll in January found 81% favor making medical marijuana legal. U.S. Attorney General Eric Holder last fall announced that raiding medical marijuana facilities would be the lowest priority for U.S. law enforcement agents, a major shift that's spurring many states to re-examine their policies. The American Medical Association recommended in November that Congress reclassify marijuana as a drug with possible medicinal benefits. At least 14 states this year, some deeply conservative and Republican-leaning, such as Kansas, will consider legalizing cannabis for medicinal purposes or lessening the penalties for possessing small amounts for personal use. 14 other states and the District of Columbia already have liberalized their cannabis law. According to Stephen Gillowig, the California director for the Drug Policy Alliance, which favors legalizing marijuana, he says, quote, "We're absolutely in an important new era in which increasing majorities of Americans are not just questioning the wisdom and efficacy of marijuana prohibition, but are demanding alternatives." Kurt Gardner, a spokesman for the Marijuana Policy Project, which promotes marijuana for medical use, calls Holder's shift one of the most significant changes in federal drug control policy in the last 30 years. It puts states at ease that they won't be in conflict with the federal government. The Obama administration still opposes smoking marijuana for its medicinal benefits, says Tom McClellan, the deputy director of the White House's Office of National Drug Control Policy. He says more research is needed to deliver the medically useful ingredients in a non-smokable form. According to McClellan, the drug czar, quote, "We have the safest medications in the world, and it's not a coincidence. We have an enviable process by which we approve medications, and that's through the Food and Drug Administration. It's a bad idea to approve medication by popular vote," end quote. Yet even a few prominent opponents admit it's getting harder for them to persuade lawmakers to continue tough restrictions on cannabis, though they vow to continue fighting against legalization and warn of the dire consequences of long-term use. According to Michael Carroll, the president of the International Association of Chiefs of Police and the police chief of West Goshen Township in Chester County, Pennsylvania, he says, quote, "The momentum is not with us, and we understand that." The 20,000-member Police Chiefs Association opposes legalizing medical marijuana and decreasing penalties for possession because it fears abusers will cause drug driving accidents and other problems. The National Institute on Drug Abuse says marijuana can cause heart irregularities, lung problems, and addiction. According to Carroll, he says, "We're going to multiply the problems we have with alcohol." Among the states considering marijuana bills this year, Alabama, Delaware, New York, North Carolina, Pennsylvania are debating allowing medical use of marijuana for persons with certain illnesses. Hawaii and Rhode Island are considering bills to reduce the penalties for marijuana possession to fines rather than jail time. Vermont's weighing whether to allow state-licensed liquor stores to sell medical marijuana, but California leads the way. California became the first state to allow marijuana for medical use back in 1996 when the voters approved a statewide ballot issue, and its provisions are so broad that tens of thousands of people have obtained a doctor's recommendation to use marijuana for ailments from cancer to arthritis. Now California's legislature is considering a bill that would make it the first state to legalize marijuana for social or recreational use as well. It's unlikely to pass this year, but Judge Gray and other advocates hope to have a proposition on the November ballot that would legalize marijuana use for anyone 21 years or older. California would levy taxes that the state board says could raise $1.3 billion or more for a year of deficit-plagued budgets and saving tens of millions in state prison and law enforcement costs. Sponsors of the ballot issue have turned in 690,000 plus signatures on the petition for verification, far more than the 433,900 valid signatures required to get on the ballot. A 2009 statewide field poll found 56% of the people in California support cannabis, making cannabis legal for recreational use and taxing it. The economics argument may be the clincher, proponents hope. They call the proposition a matter of tax and regulate rather than legalize, saying state control will take marijuana out of the criminals' hands while generating badly needed revenue. According to Richard Lee, an Oakland marijuana entrepreneur and president of the Oaksterdam University, which trains people to work in the marijuana industry, he said, quote, "It's history repeating itself with the alcohol prohibition repeal during the Great Depression." Lee, who's pushing the ballot issue, says now we have the Great Recession that'll be on people's minds. Yet, as changing attitudes and economic forces propel the legal cannabis movement in California, some wrinkles have emerged as the medical marijuana industry expands. After some complaints from neighbors, municipalities and prosecutors are moving to regulate the industry more closely to limit the growth of cannabis dispensaries and prevent sales for recreational use. Prosecutors in Los Angeles and San Diego contend that while the law allows marijuana for medical use, it does not specifically permit the sale of marijuana. They've launched a series of raids aimed at closing some of the hundreds of medical marijuana dispensaries now operating as storefronts across the state. Dennis Zine, a Los Angeles city councilman, says, quote, "I call it the slippery slope. Now we have it for medical purposes. Now let's expand it to anyone who wants to get high. I don't support that." Anyway, that's the gist of the story from the USA Today, and that's the end of our Hemp News segment for this evening. Now we'll go over to Mr. Tim Pate. How are you doing, Tim?
I'm good. Thank you, everybody, for all your prayers and good wishes over the last few weeks. I'm glad to be feeling better.
We're glad to have you back. You were out
it's
sick
good to be
last
back.
week, and we missed you. But John did a good job.
That's
John
what I
and
heard.
Jan Sue.
That's cool. I'm very grateful for them to come in and take my place. It's been nice of them to be here. Anyway, let's play a little music and watch some pretty pictures. Thank you.
Shoot that one.
Oh, yeah.
It's original music here on Cannabis Common Sense. I want to welcome you to our show. If you're out there and you have a question for us tonight, you can call us on the 12th of March, 2010 at 503-288-4448. That's 503-288-4448. And we do have a caller standing by. Hello, caller. You're on our show.
Hello.
Howdy.
Hi. I was calling about, we saw on cable TV the other night a show called Explorer, and it was talking about the marijuana growing in the forest and how the fertilizer that they grow or they use after they've left it there, that it causes a lot of damage to the ground.
Yeah. I mean, they're upending protected areas in these national forests and national parks, taking in generators and with diesel spills and lots of chemicals and pesticides. You know, they're not very ethical, let's put it that way.
No, and it's horrible, and I just wondered, you know, when you see that, it just makes me so happy that we have been given this opportunity to do our own growing. And second, we lost some of our babies, and I was so impressed. We got to go to Voter Power, and they gave us our 6 babies that we needed, and it was a real good experience. And so I want to give a shout out for them because they were just really good, and it was worth going to. And I just enjoy your program.
Thank you.
And I just want to give a special thanks to everything that you do for us.
Well, you're very welcome. We're proud to be able to help.
To be a part of a good community here. It's a good community here in Oregon. We do help each other a lot more than in other states, I think. So it's a good thing, and I'm glad you were able to reclaim your garden.
Yeah, it's really good, and I just, you know, for the amount that you get on those 6, I wish I could do it outside, but it's just dangerous. So it'll kind of be fun to see how these all turn out.
Good luck.
Yep, it's
Well, thank you so much.
Well, thank you. Thanks for your call. And if you have a question for us, again, call us at 503-288-4448. That's 503-288-4448. Yeah, that's one of the best things about Oregon's non-cash cannabis medical marijuana program is you'll see a lot of patients helping other patients and coming forward with clones and cuttings and things to get their gardens going. So that's a crucial thing, I think.
In fact, you know, just right down that line, there's a meeting tomorrow on the 2nd and 4th Saturdays of every month, and tomorrow is the 2nd Saturday of the month, and we're going to have another normal meeting.
That's right. They'll be giving away plants and babies. I'm going to try to get a few babies by there myself.
Yep, and there's usually some medicine as well. So, and it is a really well-attended meeting. So, if you are interested in coming and joining, you can join at the door. It's something that we've been able to do for many years. We happen to have the largest group of normal activists in the galaxy, is what I understand. So, might as well come and join us and be politically active with the rest of us here.
So there's the address right on the screen there with you. It's 700 Northeast Deacom. Right in Northeast Portland, and the doors open at 10 o'clock. You don't want to be any later than 11:30 because they'll lock the doors before they start the private meeting.
That's right.
I think we have another caller. Hello, caller. You're on our show.
Yeah, I have side grow, and I'm curious as to the legalities as far as being able to do a community grow. We have one person who has 4 cards, and we're interested in doing another 4 cards on that property, and as far as our legal parameter that we have to be with.
You know, under Oregon's law, there's no restrictions upon having your gardens together in a collective. And so as long as you don't go over 6 plants per authorized card, it shouldn't be a problem.
Correct. Okay, great. That's what we understood and wanted to make sure about that. And 2, you had made a comment about when you're harvesting, as far as if you don't process it and you cut it off, and then you were able to keep it in a mattress, plastic mattress container or something like that, that we won't be over the limit.
Yeah, it still counts as a plant, as long as you keep it all together in one plant. And that can be difficult if you're harvesting, say, a plant that's really 5 pounds of flowers or buds. It's going to be 20 times heavier when you harvest it. So you'll be harvesting 100-pound plant. And the way I do that is I just cut it and have it flop over on a big tarp, and then use a crew of people to move it, and then hang it all up in a room, with higher ceilings for a taller plant.
Exactly.
Then let it dry for a couple weeks, and if you feel the need to bag it up at that point as a whole plant, then you can go to moving stores, and they have mattress bags, and I found a king-size mattress bag will hold a 10-pound plant.
Great. So then basically we'd still be within our legal as long as we have it contained in there and we don't process it until it's needed at that point.
Exactly. It's still considered as a plant as long as you keep it together as one plant. Don't break it up stem by stem, because if the police should come and count it, they might think each separate stem was a separate plant, and it'd be very difficult for you to prove otherwise at that point. I like to dig down a little bit and harvest the root ball, or at least part of the root ball, out with it. So it's obvious, this is one plant.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Great. And then I heard you also talking about being able to do caregiver for multiple people, because what we're trying to do is looking at maybe the potential for if this dispensary initiative comes to play.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it might. So you can be there's no limit on the number of patients an individual can be a caregiver for. There is a limit on the number of people that a person can be a grower for. However, both the caregiver and the grower and the patient are allowed to possess the plants and process the plants and grow the plants and harvest the plants.
All right.
So only the patient's allowed to consume the plants.
Last question would be, we did the outdoor grow last season with my grower. We did really extremely well, and had a few people interested in making us their grower here. And my grower's already filled it on up with 4 cards, including ours in there. And for us to be doing our room, it's you're allowed to do yours plus 3 other, or do I have to have our own in the new room that we have established for the indoor?
Multiple people can cooperatively operate a garden. Now, in terms of being a grower, we have that limit here in Oregon. You can only be a grower for 4 people. However, the thing you need to worry about most probably is federal law. And once you get over 50 plants in total, there are a series of enhancements under federal law. There are enhancements at several points. Once you're over 6 plants, once you're over 12, once you're over 25, again 50, and then 100. And the worst penalties fall in place once you're over 1,000 plants. So no state cardholder has been prosecuted under federal law, but I think given the severity of federal sentencing, especially on gardens over 99 plants, the 100 plants or more, that it's wise to stay well under that limit.
All right, so you're recommending to never go over 50?
Yeah. I personally just grew 24 outside.
Yeah. That's roughly
24 elephants, though. Understand that.
Yeah, and I supplied 32 patients with their full 24 ounces just as soon as it was cured, and there was still quite a significant excess. And I've been giving that out to things like the Oregon Normal Cannabis Cafe, chemotherapy and radiation cancer patients, and other things. So patients are getting free cannabis.
Yeah, and then you're able to deduct your expenses for your grow there, except for your time off of.
That's right. You can ask your patients to compensate you for your expenses, except for your time or effort. That's right. I personally don't do that, but I can understand most people need to be compensated for their out-of-pocket expenses. It's only because
well, it's mainly for the indoor with electricity and
the lights and the fans and recreating Mother Nature.
Yes, it is rather expensive to do that. Otherwise, like how you were saying, though, for anything outdoor, there is not any compensation. That's Mother Nature given to you and to us. Okay, thank you for your information, and thank you for being out here and providing this. You guys are awesome.
Hey, you're welcome. Thanks for your questions. I know that answered a lot of different
you have a good evening. Thank you.
Thank you.
It tends to, doesn't it? One person asks an intelligent question, there's a whole bunch of people out there waiting for that same answer.
That's
I'm
right.
sure of it.
They're trying to call through with that set of questions.
It does happen.
There is the list of conditions that qualifies in just about every state. chronic pain is the largest single qualifying condition in every state when it comes to the number of patients who qualify for it. However, the state of New Jersey just passed a medical marijuana law that didn't include chronic pain.
Ooh.
And in the state of New Mexico, you have to have 2 doctors certify that you have chronic pain, and they've tried every alternative before they can recommend medical marijuana. I don't really like that. That means they got to make you use OxyContin and morphine and every alternative.
Right.
You know, and that doesn't seem to make much sense. And then you can only sign for chronic pain if you're a neurologist. So what is it? Yeah, neurologist. We have another call, though. Hello, caller. You're on the show.
Yeah, great job, you guys, and keep up the good work. I'm from Athens, Ohio, but...
well, thanks.
Hey, right on.
You watching us on Ustream?
You bet.
All right. Well, that's good to know it's getting out there.
I once did a 13-week series for PBS, and it was based out of Athens, Ohio, the University of Ohio there.
And you're the home of the Ohio Hempery,
That's
one of
right.
the oldest hemp companies in the country. When I sold hemp paper, they were one of my largest customers, and I think they're still in existence there.
They are. Don Worshafter.
Ohio.
Right on. You had questions. Ask us away.
Okay, what I was wondering is, should it become passing, which I'm hoping it will in Oregon, and I realize that when you sell it, if you sell commercially, the state wants its taxes and stuff like that, but what kind of laws are going to be involved with, say, like if you would sell some commercially to somebody and then they would take it out of Oregon and maybe get caught with it or something, what would that
Well, that would be a criminal act under the new... So I take it you're talking about our proposal to legalize marijuana. And so under that proposal, it would be legal for anybody to grow their own marijuana without a license. And people could breed for different strains and grow unlimited numbers of plants without a license. But they'd need to get a license if they wanted to sell the flowers or the buds. So just as if you are smuggling tobacco interstate without paying the state taxes, or you're smuggling alcohol interstate without paying the state taxes, then there are laws out there that might cause a person to get arrested and definitely subject them to criminal penalties. Under our proposal, I think we make it a Class C felony to export it with the idea that you're going to sell it for sale. If you're exporting it for non-commercial use, then it's a misdemeanor.
Okay, great. Thank you very much, and keep up the good work.
Thank you. And so, yeah, as we're talking about the Oregon Cannabis Tax Act, you can go to that website there on your screen, cannabistaxact.org. And we're sponsoring a petition to end adult marijuana prohibition and restore industrial hemp. And if we're successful and gather our 100,000 signatures by July 2nd, then the state of Oregon will vote on that on November 2nd, the same time that the state of California will vote on their proposal to legalize marijuana. And they're working on one up in Washington, too, with a group called Sensible Washington. So we could see legalization up and down the West Coast this year, or at least all the states of the West Coast voting on a law to do that. And so if we win at the ballot box in November, then marijuana becomes legal on January 1st, 2011, or a mere, 8.5 months away?
Not very long. Not very long.
Not too long away.
Now, I know a lot of people are curious about where the initiative petition stands right now, so why don't you fill us in on where it's at?
We have been challenged by a fellow out there by the name of Bradley Bonneau, who apparently works in a local head shop, and he filed a challenge against the petition to slow down our progress, but it really doesn't make much difference. As soon as the Supreme Court reviews that challenge, we will start gathering signatures, and we'll need about 100,000 signatures. We've hired a company, Democracy Resources, to circulate that petition and make the ballot. They're the only unionized signature gathering company in the country, and they've generally made every initiative ballot they've tried for. They're pretty certain that they can make the ballot in less than 2 months, and so we're gearing up for that. If you're more interested in getting involved, we have a petition headquarters at 5220 Northeast Sandy Boulevard here in Portland. That's 5220 Northeast Sandy Boulevard. And we're very happy to announce that we've nailed down venues for a ACTA in Marijuana Prohibition concert tour that John Trudell and his band Bad Dog will be highlighting and headlining for us. We're going to be holding benefit concerts in, let's see, we'll start with Grants Pass on April 16th at the Rogue Theater. Then the next night on Saturday, April 17th, we'll be in the Ashland Armory down in Ashland, Oregon. On Sunday, April 18th, we'll be at the Oregon State University campus in LaSalle Memorial Center in the Austin Auditorium. And then we will be in Eugene, Lane County, at the Lane County Fairgrounds at Performance Hall on Tuesday, April 20th for our big 420 show. Then on Friday, April 23rd, we'll be in Bend at the Hooker Creek Event Center at the Deschutes County Fairground. And finally, we'll have our wrap-up show here in Portland at the Roseland Theater on Saturday, April 24th. So if you're interested in getting tickets to those, come to our website. You can come to cannabistaxact.org or hemp.org for more information. We expect to have those tickets out in the next 10 days or so at most Ticketmaster outlets. So stay tuned. We have a video we're going to roll now that... and we'll be back in just a second to take more phone calls and talk some more about ending adult marijuana prohibition, restoring industrial hemp, and helping medical marijuana patients. So stay tuned.
Right on.
Love to share the...
Most Americans had never even heard of marijuana. They were more concerned about the rising addiction to opium, morphine, cocaine, and heroin, which were all serious public health issues. But instead of treating drug addiction as a public health problem, the federal government put control of these drugs in the hands of the Treasury Department, who created the Federal Bureau of Narcotics.
This is Harry J. Anslinger, Commissioner of the Federal Bureau of Narcotics.
Sorry. The Treasury Department intends to pursue a relentless warfare against the despicable, dope-peddling vulture who preys on the weakness of his fellow man.
America's first drug czar was Harry J. Anslinger. A law and order evangelist, Anslinger would shape America's attitude toward marijuana for generations to come. Like many Americans, Anslinger was a prohibitionist. These morally correct citizens sincerely felt that progress could only be achieved by controlling the depraved impulses of the masses.
Swordfish.
He believed that if the laws were tough enough, America could be rid of alcohol, put enough people in jail, and eventually the public will learn to behave. And he applied this same philosophy to mounting the government's war on drugs.
Special Treasury agents are part of a massive force created solely to control the traffic in narcotics.
You got any merchandise obtained in Canada or abroad? No. Have you any liquor? No. Get out of the car and let's take a look at it. Come on.
Move over, J. Edgar Hoover. Here come the 8 of the Federal Bureau of Narcotics.
Like J. Edgar Hoover, Anslinger posed for the camera, creating the impression he was smashing one major dope or another. But he found out pretty quickly that policing 40 states on a depressed strategy was impossible. His solution was to try to convince the states to police local drug traffic themselves. Campaigning tirelessly, he lobbied each state to sign a joint agreement to commit state resources to fighting drugs. But only 9 states signed on. The other 39 viewed it as federal interference in their affairs. It was a major defeat for the young drug commissioner, but he wasn't the type to give up. Meanwhile, marijuana, carried by West Indian sailors, arrived in port cities like New Orleans. Known as muggles, tea, or reefer, it was popular with the jazz crowd because it made music sound so good. From here, musicians carried it up the Mississippi to urban centers in the north.
Have you ever met that funny reefer man? Have you ever met that funny reefer man? If he says he swam to China, wants to sell you South Carolina, then you know you're talking to that reefer man. Have you ever met that funny reefer man? Oh, that funny, funny, funny reefer man. If he trades you dimes for nickels, he says watermelons are pickles. You know you're talking to that reefer man. Or have you ever met that funny reefer man? Oh, that funny, funny, funny reefer man. He smokes a reefer, he gets high, then he flies to the sky. That funny, funny, funny reefer man.
With marijuana showing up in the big cities, Anslinger realized it might be the answer to his problem. If he could persuade white America that marijuana was a deadly menace, frightened voters might push their state legislators to sign on to his Uniform Narcotics Act.
I know what you want. You want to kill me. In this case, the state waives trial of the defendant, Ralph Wiley. It is convinced that he is hopelessly and incurably insane, a condition caused by the drug marijuana to which he was addicted. It is recommended, Your Honor, that the defendant be placed in an institution for the criminally insane for the rest of his natural life.
I see no reason why the request should not be granted.
Wrap your chops round this stick of tea. Blow this gauge and get high with me.
Determined to get the act passed, Anslinger unleashed a media campaign to make the public believe that this little-known plant growing at the side of rural roads was the biggest threat America had ever faced.
Parents, beware. Your children homeward bound from school are being introduced to a new danger in the form of a drugged cigarette, marijuana. The Chicago mother watching her daughter die as an indirect result of marijuana addiction told officers that at least 50 of the girl's young friends were slaves to the narcotic, continuing addiction until they deteriorate, mentally become insane, and turn to violent crime and murder.
Extra, playground dope.
So that's how they made it illegal. They said it caused us to go crazy and kill our family and friends.
Yellow journalism at its finest.
Yep, it was a combination of yellow journalists like the Hearst Empire, their huge tracts of forests and chemical paper plants, and the petrochemical industries and drug agents like Anslinger looking for a place to keep the prohibition agents employed.
Yeah, all working together to do it almost overnight in the black.
And now these days they don't even know why they've made it illegal, but it remains illegal. So let's see if we still have a caller on hold here. Hello, caller. Welcome to our show.
Hi, good evening.
Good evening.
Howdy.
I was wondering if one of you gentlemen could tell me, once you have filled out all of your forms for your Oregon medical marijuana program, have gotten them all signed, have sent them in, and Department of Human Services has cashed your check,
Yes.
about how long does it take to get your damn card?
You know, it all depends.
The longer the better.
Because you're legal as soon as you turn it in, as
That's right.
soon as you have a receipt from the state, and as soon as you can prove they've cashed your check. So once they issue the card, and it can take anywhere up to 3 months, but generally it's about 2 to 3 months, then the card's good for a year from the date they issue it.
Yes.
So the longer they take to issue your card, the longer you're covered under that same annual fee. So there are benefits in terms of you're covered once you have a copy of your paperwork and you've turned it into the state.
And a state stamped by them.
Absolutely. That's great.
Yeah.
I'm glad to hear it.
Over the 10 years I've had my card, 11 years now, I've gained maybe a year or more in time waited between the time I turned my card in and the time I got my new card. Yeah. And that's time available to you. You're legal, you're covered, you don't have anything to worry about, and depending upon everything coming through as it's supposed to, you should be fine, and you will gain that time each year. So that's something I can absolutely say. I've gained more than a year of
I think
time.
it works out to something like a year every 5 years or so. Renew
That's
4
great.
times in 5 years with constant coverage.
So that's why I said, the more time you wait, don't worry. You'll get it, but you'll also get that much time. Time served in, man.
All right, cool.
There you go.
Thank you, guys.
You
Have
bet.
a good night.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
We have a little show and tell with some currently marketed hemp products. I'm going to start down over near Tim here with the Wilderness Poets Hemp Seed Butter. There it is. Wilderness Poets Hemp Seed Butter. This is 100% vegan live hemp seeds, and it's been pressed into a nifty butter, and it tastes kind of like cashew butter. If you've ever had cashew butter, very, very similar to that. And it's produced right here in River City in Portland by a company by the name of the Wilderness Poets, and they call this product Civil Disobedience. I kind of like that one.
I do too.
Then next door, we have 3 different brands of hemp seed milk. We have 4. They're all vanilla. There are other types out there, but I decided to just bring in the vanilla ones tonight here. This one is Hemp Dream by the same company that makes Soy Dream and Rice Dream. We have this vanilla Hemp Dream milk. Next door to it, from Manitoba Harvest, we have Hemp Bliss. A blissful part of your day, it says here on the back, is more delicious and nutritious than other non-dairy beverages. Then right next door, these are both actually the same. This is the old packaging here for Living Harvest hemp milk, and this is the new packaging here for Living Harvest hemp milk, just to show that, we're a non-commercial show, but we like to educate our viewers about the various products out there. So here are 3 different brands of hemp. This one, Living Harvest, is manufactured in British Columbia but distributed here in River City, Portland, Oregon. Then finally, we have a new product that I just saw for the first time, Living Harvest's hemp ice cream, hemp milk ice cream. And this one is vanilla bean, which Tim and I are vanilla aficionados.
Yes, we are.
And they have a coconut lime variety, a chocolate variety. But here tonight on live TV, we are going to sample Living Harvest vanilla bean ice cream. See, there it is. Right. Someone, my wife probably, took a few bites out of here, but little mouse in there.
And I see no teeth marks.
No teeth marks, so she hopefully used a clean spoon.
All right, yep. All right.
Here we are.
Indeed, indeed.
So, Oh, that is really good. I think it's better than milk ice cream.
It's very good. That's delicious. If you like ice cream, you'll like this. If you like vanilla, this is right on. There's no weirdness to it at all. It just tastes like a good treat.
Yeah. Rich and creamy vanilla bean temp is made from deliciously smooth hemp milk, one of nature's most perfect planet-friendly foods. With real organic vanilla beans, it's genuine through and through. And hemp milk naturally contains healthy omega-3, 6, and 9 essential fatty acids. Its luscious, indulgent taste is a temptation you can feel good about.
When we were first making hemp boards back in 92, 93, 94, the CNN was reporting not only on us and the hemp boards, but a certain individual that was making ice cream down in California, and he was never able to really get it on the market or anything like that. I'm very, very pleased to see marketable products that you can find anywhere, in any store, that you can just go out and buy and like.
This fellow Agua Das from Boulder, Colorado, had Hemp Scream, and he still markets it there in Colorado. And he's at the Seattle Hemp Fest too with his hemp ice cream bars. They're very tasty.
They are.
It's called Hemp Scream. So that's one of the first people, and he actually taught me quite a bit about hemp. He taught me about hemp biodiesel and other things. So I'm grateful to Agua Das out there. We have another caller. Hello, caller. You're on our show.
Hi.
Hello.
My
Howdy.
question has to do with drug testing.
Uh-huh.
If someone had been clean for about 6 to 7 months, and then they smoked a small amount 2 days in a row, about how long do you think it would take before they would be able to pass a drug test?
A week or 2 weeks.
A week or two?
Yeah.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, and if you have the opportunity just before you take the drug test, if you know you're about to take it, just drink lots and lots of water and try to urinate as soon as possible before the test. And if you're drinking enough water, you'll need to urinate again by the time you get in there.
Okay, that sounds good. I really appreciate your help, and thanks for all the work you do.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
Good luck. I hope
Bye-bye.
you don't even have to test for anything.
Yeah, the only urine test I think they should get are taste tests.
That's right.
They're pretty sick if they want that one.
That's true.
Anyway, we are taking your phone calls. Just call us at 503-288-4448, and we have another little film clip, a trailer from a new movie coming out called The Green Goddess, which 5% of the proceeds of this movie are going to go to the Hemp and Cannabis Foundation.
Cool.
And I'm the associate producer and an actor in this movie, though I'm not in the trailer. So enjoy.
We're going to add some more ice cream.
Legend has it that deep within the THC crystal of the marijuana plant, there lives a goddess. A goddess so incredible that meeting her will transform your life forever.
She's magnificent, glorious, beautiful, delicious.
I want to meet her.
You start with a strain like this, nurture her, worship her. When your mind is open, she will come.
When their leader is arrested, 3 friends will travel halfway across the world, plant 25,000 marijuana plants, and harvest more organic ganja than you and all of your friends could smoke in 3 lifetimes.
Oh, that's a lot of pot. You're from America? Yeah. So you just come to Europe, grow some weed, and make a whole bunch of work like that.
All I know is, after how y'all treated the son, the Lord felt the need to hide his daughter and hid her in the most sacred place.
They have only one chance to get right and meet.
One goddess. Would you like to meet the Green Goddess?
So that is a
There we
movie
go.
that will be coming soon. It's not out yet. Not sure exactly when it will be out. We'll be playing that clip until it is, or maybe even after it does come out. We look forward to that one. Hey, if you're out there, you have a question for us, call us. We got about 7 minutes left to go here at 503-288-4448. And we do have another caller. Welcome to our show.
Hey guys, how's it going?
Good.
Very well. How are you?
Doing good. Hey, I don't know if you guys have heard. First off, I after that Reefer Madness video you played, and then I had a picture of you guys. It really did look like you guys fit the profile of a murderer. So I just wanted to.
No, that was from Ron Mann's documentary called Grass, and it was narrated by Woody Harrelson and came out, I think it was 2002. something like that. But it's grass. Ron Mann documentary.
No, I just.
Yeah, we might fit that profile. You never know.
Yeah,
No,
definitely
anyway,
the insane part.
I was curious if you guys have heard anything on the plant out of Africa, ibogaine.
Yeah.
That's currently banned in the States, that is legal in Canada and in Mexico.
Certainly. I've heard that a lot of folks who have addiction problems can use ibogaine to help get off of heroin addiction. They find after 1 or 2 treatments they're able to kick opiates and other debilitating addictive drugs.
Yeah, and that's supposedly it is banned under the same type of substances like mushrooms and whatnot. But there again is just a plant that grows out of the ground that our government says we can't take. So.
Yep, I've heard of that. I've heard good things from several folks about, kicking hard drugs using that, and also using cannabis. Cannabis has traditionally been used as a kind of a bridge to sobriety for people who are addicted to drugs. In fact, most of the containers for old cannabis products say explicitly that it's to help habituates of opiates and chloroform and cocaine get off of those things and use less harmful cannabis.
Yeah, it's a shame that people go to these treatment centers for their, harder addictions, and one of the things that they definitely could benefit them getting off of drugs is to smoke an herb like cannabis, and it's a shame that
the whole time you were saying that, my brain was processing that thought right there. That obviously the first people who would want not to see this happen would be those people who were making all their livelihoods at treatment centers, because oh no, we can't treat somebody for 8 weeks. We can only treat them for 2 days because it works overnight. There's got to be something wrong with that.
Yeah, well, and what a way to calm somebody down, help them sleep, or whatever else, kicking something. So. You guys have a great show. I really appreciate you guys putting this on and stuff.
Thank you.
Well, thanks for your call, question, and comment there. Thanks for calling.
I mean, that's obviously what you if what you say is true about that, if what they're finding out is true about that, that could change recidivism. It could change the drug treatment policies and drug treatments throughout the world.
If anybody's really, I've done a little research on it because I had some friends that were addicted, and it is legal in Canada and Mexico, and if somebody is looking to kick some sort of even alcohol, heroin...
Oh, it's definitely a lot better. Alcohol is about the worst thing you can get on, and the kicking alcohol is one of the worst ones out there for sure. The DTs associated with it are terrible. But you know what? We got to skip on because we're down to just our last few minutes here.
Thanks for your time.
Thanks for your call.
Thanks for calling. We have a question from our in-audience member. We have an audience, and you're welcome to come down here any Friday night to 2766 Northeast Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard and ask a question or just hang out. So, hello, welcome to our show.
Thank you. Good evening, gents.
Good evening.
Well, it's been some time. I'm test driving my common sense view tonight. Thank you. Brings up some interesting thoughts in terms of caregiving in this last clip that we saw, and the question that just was presented in terms of caregiving. We have 3 roles. We have the provider or the grower, the caregiver, and the patient, or maybe in the reverse order. Question being is, what do you see the role of the caregiver as being? And just now, as we're starting to get the momentum of that holistic angle into our measure, will it be lost with the legalization and nationalization, and perhaps the industrialization by those who took it from us in the first place?
Well, I think that, under our proposal, anyone will be able to grow cannabis without a license. And so anyone who wants to grow it and be a caregiver, and it doesn't overturn the medical marijuana program. So under our proposal, you could still get a caregiver card or a grower card from the health department. Though when it's completely legal for anyone to grow, I don't see why anyone would pay money to get a license to do something they can do without a license. Mm-hmm. So it won't change that. It will add a new dynamic. I think the main thing is people won't be arrested for it anymore. People won't be have their families torn apart by it. People won't lose their children to local child enforcement agencies for using cannabis without causing harm to anyone around them in the privacy of their home. So I think there's a big benefit to seeing it basically become completely legal, and seeing hemp fuels and hemp food and hemp fiber replace the trees for paper and building material, and replace petroleum for fuel. And then we'll also have legal marijuana, so there won't be any more jail for marijuana, and people who use marijuana will have the same rights as any other person. Unfortunately, though, we're down to just under a minute and a half to go.
Thank you.
So going to have to cut off there, but thanks for that question. I want to thank you out there for watching. You're the reason we put this show on. We're trying to get the word out. Just stay tuned as we continue to work to restore hemp. So have a good night. Mr. Tim Pate.
See you next week, folks.